Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and the Son, Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi Towards, and double honors to the apostles of the Greatmillstone that told me what I know today through the inspiration and power of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, which is indeed through the Holy Spirit, of course, and as well as giving the salutations thereof towards the Yakim out that is forwarding this truth worldwide. And shalom to the Yakim, Wakwaf Yam, most importantly, of y'all that are heeding, and it's your brother Laban asked you another lesson. And in this lesson, which is a beautiful thing I want to get into, is the fact that the Lord is going to establish a covenant between himself and the Israelites, and that is going to be the covenant of peace in this case, right? And we're going to just get right into it right here. This is Isaiah 54 and verse 7. For a small moment have I forsaken thee, but with great mercies will I gather thee. In a little wrath I hid my face from thee for a moment, but with everlasting kindness will I have mercy on thee, saith the Lord Yahweh thy Redeemer. For this is as the waters of Noah unto me. For as I have sworn that the waters of Noah should no more go over the earth. And how did he swear on that? By declaring the bowl of those that survived the flood, which is to once again, as I'm going to use the word, declare that he would no longer flood the earth anymore. So in like manner, as I'm going to read on, so have I sworn that I would not be wroth with thee, nor rebuke thee. For the mountains shall depart, and the hills shall be removed. But my kindness shall not depart from thee, and neither shall the covenant of my peace be removed, saith the Lord Yahweh that have mercy on thee. O thou afflicted, tossed in with the tempest, and not comforted, behold, I will lay thy stones with fair colors, and lay thy foundations with sapphires. So now let's just back up a little bit, kind of read over that, and just bring in a little elaboration on this particular scripture, which is the scripture for this particular topic that I'm getting into, right? And I mean, like, that would just be a wonderful thing to experience, because right now all we ever know, what is real to us, is a life of disappointments. Whether it's disappointments on others that you see around you, or whether it's yourself. Okay, consistency of up and downs and vexations, and just overall, just to use Occam's razor, cursing and vexation. This is what we're experiencing in this life, and that's what we know. So we don't know the experience of a particular life where everything goes right and there is an abundance of peace, all right, where everything is just the way it needs to be. Everything goes accordingly to the way you want it to be, and it's just complete righteousness. So it would be nice, man, and I mean, obviously we all wish we can do this. We all wish we can just fast forward from the times that we're living in right now just to get to this right here. Okay, but that's not going to be the case. We have to play this life out. We have to go through the struggles, and us going through the struggles in this life, even unto the very end, is going to be worth the kingdom. It's going to be worth this right here. Okay, because nothing good comes easy, as the saying goes, and that's reality in this case will show you. So we have to go through the hardness of this world to get to the the good things, as well as the priest, just like the priest, just like the elder priest Yaquab said, that we're going through all of these curses. I'm saying it in my own words. We're going through all of these curses so that eventually, when we get into the kingdom, we can appreciate righteousness. All right, which is a profound statement at that, and that's why we have to go through all of this. Okay, so now let's go and read verse 11. O thou afflicted, tossed with the tempest. In other words, where we've been scattered abroad, according to the curse of Deuteronomy 28 and I believe it's 65, which basically tells us in the scriptures that we would be scattered abroad, and as well as we will find no ease among the nations. And this is why this reads also, and not comforted, Behold, I will lay thy stones with fair colors, and lay thy foundations with sapphires, which is one of my favorite colors and stones as well. And I will make thy windows of agates, and thy gates of carbuncle, and all of thy borders of pleasant stones. And when you look into these pleasant stones today, which this stone right here, this is what you call an actual sapphire stone, which is going for almost 500,000, man. Like that's like that's the kind of money you would spend on a house, a decent house at that. But this is how much it's cost. Okay. And as well as you have other precious stones, other expensive stones, like you have the opal, which this is a beautiful stone at that. So in the kingdom, we're going to have access to all of this. Why? Because the earth is going to be ours anyway. So all of the elements, from the low grade element to the highest grade element, is all going to be ours. And we're going to get the best of what the earth can offer us. And this is why it reads in the book of Isaiah 60 that our gates will be continually open. Why is this? Also because some other nations, they're going to give tribute. And a part of giving tribute is giving the best thing that they have on their land. Whether that's gold, whether that's silver, whether that's platinum, whether that's bronze, anything that's usable, that can build us up, they're gonna have to give us that, and that's gonna be their way of paying tribute. All right, which is another way of saying taxes. Like when we pay taxes, it's really to, commemorate that we're nothing more than slaves, because only slaves pay tribute to the powers. Okay, because you have other powers that own the land you stand on. So this is why you pay taxes, and most of your tax goes back to your government, and your government uses that money for whatever it could use it for, basically. So that's how it's going to be in our kingdom. When we rule over these nations and rule the planet, they're going to give their portion, and we're going to get the best of the best in all things. All right. So this is what we're gonna access. And I mean, when I talk about this, it just seems so far-fetched and unrealistic, because our life isn't this. Our life that we're now living, a lot of us, all we've ever known and experienced is limitations and just basically being poor. That's all we know. So when we talk about stuff like this, half of the times the mind can only but ponder what the Lord is going to allow us to experience in His kingdom. But regardless whether we can see it or not, because there's a lot of things that men couldn't see, but it came to pass, didn't it? So regardless of what, this is going to be our reality real soon, brothers, and if you sisters that are watching. And I have to stop saying that, because there's probably a lot of sisters that are watching us, man. Because what me and the brothers was talking about, man, me and my brothers, we was talking about how there's got to be more women in the truth than brothers, because obviously, there's going to be 144,000 of us, and each and every brother is going to have multiple of different wives. So there has to be a lot of women believing in this thing. But we'll have to wait and see how everything plays out on that regard anyway, Now getting back to the topic, let's go back and read Isaiah 54 and verse 12 once again. And I will make thy windows of a gate, and thy gates of carbuncle, and all of thy borders of pleasant stones. And as well as Revelations, the 21st chapter, mentions this too. Revelations 21 and verse 16. Yes, Salakia, just want to fast forward because I messed up on something. And the city lieth foursquare, and the length is as large as the breadth, which is the width. And he measured the city with the reed, 12,000 furlongs, which I believe that would mean, because a furlong is 600 feet. So then that would then mean, the math would then basically add up to, or multiply by I think 700 something odd thousand, 720,000 feet overall. And the length and the breadth thereof, which is the width and the height of it, are equal. And he measured the wall thereof, and 144 cubits, according to the measure of a man, and that is of the angel. So now let's get to this right here. Because what I want to show is what Isaiah saw, is the fact that the holy city Jerusalem was builded with all kinds of precious stones, and as well as the streets were paved with gold. So this is how we're going to be living. This is going to be our situation, brothers and sisters out there. This is also part of that everlasting peace, which is going to be the Most High's covenant on that regard. And the building of the wall of it was of jasper, and the city was pure gold, like unto a clear glass. Here you go. And the foundations of the wall of the city were garnished with all manner of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, and the third a chalcedony, and the fourth an emerald, and the fifth sardonyx, the sixth sardius, and the seventh chrysolite, and the eighth beryl, which is another form of green. The ninth a topaz, the 10th a chrysoprasus, if I'm pronouncing that right, the 11th a jacinth, and the 12th amethyst. And the 12 gates were 12 pearls, every several gate was of one pearl, and the streets of the city was pure gold, as it were transparent glass. So we're talking about see-through glass, gold. So this is what it's looking like. This is what's prepared for us. And when you go and read this again, it just basically shows you that we're going to be consumed in all of these precious stones, and just living a life of luxury, man, and abundance of nice things, man. And plus, man, I love nice things. I know all of us like nice things, as we're all Israelites, but there's brothers, man, that have a genuine eye for nice things, and that's basically where I'm coming from with that, man. And I know other brothers that are like that too, that really like nice things as well. And this is just going to be our heart's desire, man. All of us, really, to be honest with you, because we all want to just be, as well as if you're in this truth, you have a ruling class mentality ultimately. So this is your heart's desire overall. Okay, and now we're gonna move forward without me talking anymore. This is verse 12. And I will make thy windows, once again we're gonna read this, windows of a gates, and thy gates of carbuncle, and all of thy borders of pleasant stones, and all thy children shall be taught of the Lord Yahweh, and great shall be the peace of thy children. And in righteousness shalt thou be established, and thou shalt be far from oppression. For thou shalt not fear, and from terror, and for it shall not come nigh thee. Which reminds me of Isaiah, the 60th chapter, and I believe it's in a particular verse. I don't remember the verse, but it goes like this, that no violence will no longer be near our borders. And as well as Isaiah chapter 2 states that the nations will learn war no more once we get into that holy land, which is our land, the land which is called Israel, which was named after our people when they got there, when we conquered those Canaanites during the time of Joshua. So now let's read this once again. And all of thy children shall be taught of the Lord, and great shall be the peace of thy children. In righteousness shalt thou be established, and thou shalt be far from oppression, for thou shalt not fear, and from terror, and for it shall not come nigh thee. Behold, they shall surely gather together, but not by me. Whosoever shall gather together against thee shall fall for thy sake. So all of them nations are going to be obedient, just. It's not going to be a jealous mind to the point where they're gonna want to roll on us. They're not gonna want to do that, because that's gonna just be a thought of wanting to commit suicide on oneself. So they're not gonna do that, because we're gonna be too powerful for them to do such a thing. Okay, so they're not gonna do that. They can only but be jealous, because the scriptures does say that the nations will be jealous of us, but that's as far as it's gonna go. They can be haters of far away, but when it comes to hating to the point where they want to cause confusion on us, then we gonna give them what they want, and let it be known from there, right there. So let's go and get the book of Proverbs now. That's right here, Psalms 144, because if we're gonna be draped in these precious stones, and all of this is going to just be ours, then, you know what I mean, like, obviously, and as I've showed as well, I've showed, you know, this website here of this ring, right, which is something that you would definitely buy for your woman. You know what I mean, if you got that kind of excess fundage to do that. As you can see, this is 465,000 pounds. All right. So, like, right now, ain't none of us can afford this right here, man. Like, like it ain't gonna happen, man. It ain't gonna happen. But in the kingdom, it's gonna happen. Where we're not gonna be able to buy anything of this. This is just gonna be freely given to us, because we've already did the work. We've already, you know, given our lives as a sacrifice to get all of this, and then we're gonna be the ones selling these things to you know, whoever we sell it to. All right, like, we're going to be having the power and the upper hand to create institutions to you know, for those to buy and sell, and we create up all of that. Okay, just like how you have them JOOSs, they do the same thing. And I mean, who's to say that a so-called JOO don't own this particular store? They probably do. So you know, like I was saying, you know, this is something that you would get for your woman, right? So now let's read Psalms 144, because in this reads that the daughters of our nation, or the women of our nation, they're going to be basically decked out, man. This is what this is basically going into. Psalms 144 verse 12, that our sons may be as plants grown up in their youth. In other words, our young sons are going to be excellent from an early stage in their life. So whatever it is that they wanted to be within their glory, they're gonna be able to experience that. So that they're gonna have a self-fulfilled experience even when they're young, before they get old, right? And that's our sons. So they're gonna be magnified in their way, and as well as our women are gonna be magnified, and as well as our daughters. That our daughters may be as cornerstones, polished after the similitude of a palace. And when you think of a palace is basically an elaborate mansion, you know, a classical elaborate looking mansion with stones and gold made out of it and stuff like that. So our women are going to be decked out, and they're going to be naturally beautiful. Okay, and they're going to deserve that, because guess what, according to the book of Proverbs, 31, right, where it reads, who can find a virtuous woman? This is Proverbs 31 and verse 10. The description of a worthy woman. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband doeth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil, and she will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. Now, the reason why I read this, because this is the kind of woman that all of our wives, this is the kind of spirit that all of our wives are gonna have on them. So just imagine you having a woman like this, to where you can trust her, man. Because in this life, there's no way in this hell that you gonna be able to put your trust in your woman. You know, a lot of dudes have done that, and basically it's not ended well with these guys. And it's just kind of common sense, the way that the modern day woman, you know, operates out here. You can't trust them. You can't even basically love them the way you would like to, because obviously in your mind, you know how they move out here, right? And realistically speaking, the way that these women operate, since it's very easy for them to get from man to man, it's easy for them to cheat as well. Okay, and a woman that has experiences with different men is not capable of basically pair bonding, let alone loving a man. And I use the term woman, and I shouldn't use that term, because obviously, you know, words have definitions and a meaning. And the word woman just means a man's servant, going all the way back to the time of during the time of when Eve came in the midst. It was declared that she was to be the helpmate to Adam. So that's the definition of women, or the term woman, is to be a helpmate. And that woman is supposed to be in league with her husband, and to be with that one man, right? And to love that one man. But the way that these females are operating, they don't operate like women. They operate like harlots. And I don't say that to be rude. I say that because I'm living in this real world. Okay? For the most part, any woman that you come across, it's not going to really be, and I'm not saying all of the time, but for the most part, just being realistic, that most of these women don't really and can't really love a man because they don't had so many different experiences with different kinds of men. Women are built differently. Women are emotional, and when a man deals with a woman sexually and spiritually, she will always remember that guy, right? And the more guys that she has intimacy with, is the more likely she's going to be turned into that of an harlot. Now she's going to be conditioned to just deal with men rather than deal with a man. So now it becomes difficult for her to pair bond. And that's why the modern day women today cannot love a man, because the way that they've basically went about their business dealing with different men makes them not being capable of doing that. Okay, so in the kingdom of heaven, we're going to have virgins, and we're going to be their only husbands that they've only known. They're going to be with the same man that got rid of their virginity, and that's the guy that they can truly, genuinely love. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say right there and there. I mean, I could talk about, the nature of a female, but that's another lesson for another time. Plus, the scriptures speak about all of this stuff anyway, right? So, so let's get into this right here, man. Proverbs 31, verse 11, man. It says, the heart of her husband doeth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil, and she will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. And she seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant's ships, and she bringeth her food from afar, and she riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. Okay, she considereth a field, and buyeth it with the fruits of her hands, and she planteth a vineyard, and she girdeth her loins with strength, and strengthen her arms, and she perceived that her merchandise is good, and her candle goeth not out by night. And she layeth her hand to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. So there you have it. So all of this is basically showing that she's a virtuous woman. She's a worthy wife. She brings a lot to the table, so to speak. Nowadays, women don't bring hardly anything to the table. The only thing that they bring to the table, just being real, is that thing which is between their legs, and that's all they pretty much bring to the table, and that's as far as it goes. So, with the term dealing with the word woman now, that's not what we're dealing with out here. We're dealing with something else. Just to be real, once again. All right. So going back to the topic now. So if we have our wives with this kind of spirit, which is what's going to be the case, they're going to be deserving of us decking them out. Now let's go and read this again. That our sons may be as plants grown up in their youth, that our daughters may be as cornerstones polished after the similitude of a palace. Because if you have a woman that's doing all of this for you, man, guess what? Of course you're going to want to treat her. Of course you're going to want to buy her things to show your appreciation and your love for the stuff that she does. Like, she's more than just a woman that gives you sex. She brings a lot more to the table. And this is a woman that you highly regard and you respect. This is a wife now we're talking about. This is a woman. So yes, we're going to be able to do that. And we're going to have these kind of women in the kingdom. A virtuous woman is going to be a dime a dozen. So every brother is going to be satisfied with their women. You know what I mean? I don't mean to speak about the topic of women, but I'm just bringing it out. You know what I mean? So now I want to get back to, just real briefly, I want to get back to the topic now, and we're going to read the book of Proverbs. I'll tell you what, I'm going to read. I'm going to go and read Isaiah 60 because I mentioned this too. Isaiah 60 now, getting back to the point. And this reads in verse verse 16. Again, dealing with the peace of the Most High. the covenant of peace of the Most High. So this is Isaiah 60 verse 16. And thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles and shall suck the breasts of kings. Metaphorically speaking, this means that we're going to take everything that they stole from us and their precious resources, have you will. And thou shalt know that I, the Lord, am thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. For brass I will bring gold, and for iron will I bring silver, and for wood brass, and for stones iron. And I will also make thy officers peace, and thine exactors righteousness. And violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders. But thou shalt call thy walls salvation, and thy gates praise. And our gates are going to be praised because of how it's going to look and how we're going to look. All right, so that's also a part of the peace that the Lord is going to establish forever and ever between his people and himself. That he will not bring no harm to his people anymore. And this is going to happen because we're going to be under the new covenant, and we're going to be tapped into a particular way where we're going to be able to keep them law, statutes, and commandments, which therefore that's going to prohibit us from falling, because it's what sin has done unto us. Sin has made us to fall. So once that's gone out the window, guess what? This is going to be the reality now. And that's what's so beautiful of what's coming our way. So we have so much beautiful things to look forward to in our kingdom, which is forth to come. So we may be suffering now, sorrowing now, crying, mourning, whatever you want to call it. We're in a state of sorrow just overall. It's only but for a moment. And it's going to be, and this is going to be pale in comparisons to the everlasting peace which is coming our way. As what Paul said, this is for yet this day as we're going through, which is what? Light affliction. And it won't be compared to the eternal weight of glory. And this is what I've shown you in this video here. And hopefully you saw something in this video. I mean, I know at times I'm not the best person to explain and go into the scriptures, but I try to do what I can do to the spirit. All right, as we all do. So that's pretty much all I have to say. I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi Towards, and with that, I am out. Shalom.